In 31 minutes, Russia would lose what took a decade to build. They just didn't know it yet. At 1:40 a.m. on a December morning in 2025, the crew of B-271 Kolpino performed their final weapons check. The Kilo-class submarine, one of Russia's deadliest black holes, floated at 130 feet in Novorossiysk harbor, batteries charging for another strike. In 47 minutes, 4 Kalibr cruise missiles would launch toward sleeping Ukrainian cities. But 11 miles away, something was listening. Something that had stalked this submarine for 8 months, learned its patterns, studied its vulnerabilities, and now closed in for the kill through pitch-black water. Something Russia's $65 million sonar system should have detected, except the sonar system no longer existed. Ukraine had already blinded them. Now came the kill shot. The night was still over the Black Sea, the kind of quiet that hides a storm. What happened next would rewrite the rules of naval warfare forever and prove a terrifying truth. In modern conflict, a $450 million submarine isn't safe anywhere. Not even in its own harbor, surrounded by defenses that had protected it for years. This is the story of how Ukraine sank a submarine without a navy. For 8 months, Ukraine's SBU had tracked Kolpino relentlessly. Intelligence pinned 37 Kalibr launches on this boat since March 2024. Strikes that leveled apartment blocks, hospitals, power stations. The submarine's rubber-coated hull absorbed sound waves like a phantom, earning its nickname Black Hole. The Kilo class carries the nickname Black Hole because it's built to be invisible to sonar, defense analyst H.I. Sutton would later explain. But Ukraine had learned something critical. You don't fight ghosts with more ghosts. You blind the eyes, protecting them first. The problem was mathematical and brutal. Novorossiysk harbor was protected by Zarya, a $65 million sonar array with 6 hydrophone clusters that listened ceaselessly, filtering whales and boats while flagging any electric motor within 90 seconds. The moment any Ukrainian drone powered up within range, patrol boats would swarm and a Ki-27 helicopter would drop sonobuoys. Detection meant death. So how do you destroy a submarine protected by a system specifically designed to detect you? The answer Ukraine devised was so audacious it sounded like suicide. Destroy Zarya first, then kill the submarine in the darkness. A 2-phase assassination where the first phase had to work perfectly, or the second phase would never happen. 96 hours earlier, at an FSB checkpoint on the Georgia-Russia border, a Kamaz truck carrying frozen tuna rolled through inspection. Russian guards poked at icy crates and waved it through. They never found the false floor. Hidden beneath the fish, a 1,874-pound Sea Baby drone with a 660-pound RDX warhead, 3 Bober suicide drones, encrypted Starlink, and a laser designator. Total cost, under $47,000. Target value, $65 million in defenses, clearing the path to a $450 million submarine. By 10:15 p.m., 3 SBU operatives lowered Sea Baby into black water from a deserted beach 6.8 miles from Novorossiysk. No engines, no lights. The drone entered ghost mode, motors silent, drifting on the 2.1 knot current, guided only by compass and inertia. Its radar-absorbent coating made it look like floating debris. Sutton would marvel at the footage. Whether surface or subsurface, and I think subsurface, very impressive navigation, really complicated. The drone had to sail past various ships, through the harbor entrance facing toward town, then angle back. Russia was caught completely unaware. For 5.5 hours, Sea Baby drifted 6.2 miles. This was the art of invisibility. After 5 hours, 32 minutes, Sea Baby reached position 0.62 miles from Zarya. But there was a problem. A Panzer S-1 battery on the hill would detect any heat spike the moment Sea Baby powered up. A missile would erase it in 6 seconds. Sea Baby didn't need to move closer. Ukraine had prepared 2 pawns for this exact moment. From 2.6 miles out, 2 Bober drones launched at 50 feet, below radar threshold. But they weren't flying towards Zarya. They targeted the electrical substations feeding the entire base. Bober 1 hit the eastern substation. Transformer oil ignited. 4 seconds later, Bober 2 hit the western station. The grid overloaded, breakers tripped, and Novorossiysk plunged into blackout. Lights out, radar out, cameras out, and Zarya went silent. The sonar system needed exactly 80 seconds to reboot. That was Sea-Baby's window. Sea-Baby's motors surged to full power, 45 knots straight towards Zarya. Impact in 47 seconds. A 33-second safety margin. On paper. But war doesn't respect paper. A Kai-27 helicopter lifted off, its radar locking the fast-moving target. Sonobuoys were seconds from deployment. Sea-Baby would be torpedoed in under 30. Ukraine's final card? Bober 3 launched in a desperate sprint, homing on the helicopter's thermal signature. It struck the tail rotor. The K-27 spun wildly, forced into emergency landing. At midnight, Sea-Baby rammed Zarya's foundation. 660 pounds of RDX detonated underwater. Shock waves pulverized hydrophone clusters, severed fiber optics, and collapsed 44 tons of concrete. 1 second later, the command center went dead. Novorossiysk naval base became completely blind underwater. It's clear Russia did not detect this attack coming, Sutton noted, because otherwise they would have closed that harbor entrance. All the boom defenses they routinely deploy, none were there. 11 miles east, in water dark as oil, another shadow stirred. Not Sea-Baby, this was Sub-Sea-Baby, the true hunter. A 14-foot cylindrical mini-sub weighing 4,850 pounds, including a 550-pound shape-charge warhead and AI-driven navigation. It cruised silently at 4 knots, could sprint to 25 knots, combined passive sonar with 4K low-light cameras and thermal sensors. The encrypted signal flashed. Zarya down. Proceed to phase 2. Sub-Sea-Baby slipped into the harbor at 115 feet. With Zarya silent, no patrol boats stirred. But now came the hardest part, finding one submarine among dozens of warships in a pitch-black harbor without giving itself away. And it had to do it before Kolpino launched its missiles. At 1:47 a.m., after 95 minutes of scanning, Sub-Sea-Baby's passive sonar caught it, a 33 Hz hum repeating every 1.2 seconds, bearing 287 degrees, depth 125 to 140 feet. The AI matched it instantly, 94.7% confidence. Diesel-electric kilo class, generators charging batteries. B-271 Kolpino, Sub-Sea-Baby closed from the baffle zone, the stern blind spot where the submarine's own noise masked anything approaching from behind. This was how Western subs once hunted Soviets during the Cold War. Inside the harbor, Sutton's surveillance footage showed the tactical picture. An intelligence ship, a Krivak frigate, Alexandrit minesweepers, Baikov patrol boats, a Buyan corvette with Kalibrs, all valuable targets. But Ukraine ignored them all to go for the 3 submarines parked exactly where they're nearly always parked. Inside B-271, Captain Dmitry Sokolov checked launch coordinates. 39 minutes to firing depth, the 38-man crew followed routine, unaware of the stalker astern. Then sonar officer Alexei Petrov froze. A faint echo at 3,940 feet, 67% confidence. Most signals were marine life, some were death. Sokolov ordered immediate countermeasures. Acoustic decoys deployed, projecting false signatures. Prairie masker flooded water with microbubbles. Ballast tanks added 132 tons in 20 seconds, dropping from 130 feet to 255 feet. Engines shut down. The noise floor collapsed to near zero. But Sub-Sea-Baby was already in position, 6 feet below, 1,300 feet astern. At 2:09 a.m., Sub-Sea-Baby entered sprint mode, 25 knots. The gap devoured in 31 seconds. At 500 feet, red warnings erupted on B-271's screens. Petrov shouted, something racing from behind. The submarine needed 40 seconds to turn enough to matter. Could a 4,000-ton submarine, designed for stealth and endurance, possibly maneuver fast enough to escape a hunter already inside his blind spot? Sub-Sea-Baby needed only 18 seconds. At 2:11 a.m., it struck the main battery compartment. The 550-pound shaped charge detonated. A copper liner collapsed into a hypervelocity plasma jet, punching through HY-80 steel. Inside, the pressure hull ruptured violently. Superheated steam blasted into the weapons bay. One Test-71 torpedo detonated, then another, cascading explosions equivalent to 4 tons of TNT. The hull split into 3 sections in under 4 seconds. A water column erupted, visible a mile away. The wreckage sank through 400 feet, churning silt clouds. No escapes, no survivors. Sutton's analysis was measured but stark. It's clear there's no surface vessel in the footage. The approach would have triggered alarms, gunfire, and attempts to close the harbor. This was almost certainly an underwater vehicle. Very impressive. The implications extended far beyond one submarine. It's almost certain that the submarine is unserviceable. The only shipyard that could repair it is in Sevastopol, the same dry dock where another Kilo, Rostov-on-Don, was destroyed by Storm Shadow and Neptune missiles. The strategic trap was complete. Russia only has 2 large ports in the Black Sea. They've already retreated from Sevastopol because of frequent attacks. They retreated to Novorossiysk and survived without serious losses for years. Now, even inside the port, they're not safe. Russia's options were all bad. Improve defenses and still not feel safe, or move, but where? There's a small port in Georgia, but that's problematic. They can't return to Crimea. Dispersing ships might make them more vulnerable. It's a no-win situation. A very bad day for their navy. The math was chilling. A $500 million submarine, advanced missiles, trained crew, eliminated by a few $100,000 in drones. The cost-exchange ratio redefined naval warfare economics. Having said that, Sutton concluded, it's something everyone's been waiting to happen, expecting to happen, for years now. Great news from Ukraine's point of view. That night, Ukraine proved 3 things beyond argument. They could blind sonar by striking infrastructure. They could hunt submarines using multi-sensor AI instead of traditional sonar. And they could exploit the baffles zone where every submarine is helpless. The lesson was absolute. You don't need a fleet to sink a submarine. You need patience, precision, and the cold logic of asymmetric warfare. Blind the eye. Let AI hunt in darkness. Rewrite the rules. The black hole that couldn't hide had been found and destroyed in the one place it believed safest, hunted by an even quieter ghost that Russia never saw coming. Under the sea, as Ukraine proved that December night, absolute safety is dead. The question now facing every naval power is simple and terrifying. If a $450 million stealth submarine isn't safe in its own harbor, what is? If you enjoyed this video and would love to do a deep dive into videos like this, check our video, Sneaky Bridge Attack by Ukraine. Then this happened. Link in the description below.